Hey, what is up, YouTube? I hope you're having a great week. There's a lot of things happening in the financial markets. There's a lot of shifts happening. There's a lot of things happening in crypto, also in forex, a lot of nice movements. So today we will be talking about one movement in particular. Is going to be my position on the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Might have been my best position in the last 6 months because it was a 7.5 risk to reward position. Of course, I took it with a bit more risk. That's why I have a lot more return on the account. This position was taken on one of my challenges that I'm trading with a bit more risk, since this is a strategy that I'm trying to gain more capital in a faster way, but still trading very high probability and not having to wait 3-4 months to secure some capital. So without further ado, let's dive right into the charts, and I'm going to explain to you today in a technical way how I took Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and I'll give you some tips on how to spot some more potential setups this way, even this week or the coming weeks. So let's dive into TradingView. Okay, arriving at TradingView, this is going to be the first technical video on this channel. So I'll try and explain my best to show you what I was looking at, how I identified this position. Of course, as you can see, the 4-hour chart already, it looks pretty clean for a long setup. I think a lot of traders, it doesn't even matter how you trade. Do you trade patterns? Do you trade smart money concepts? Whatever. It looks already like a nice trading position, whatever strategy you're trading. But let me explain to you how I've got this high risk to reward position, how I executed what I was looking at, and why this position was so interesting to me. First off, let's start with the pair that we have. We have the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. So, for me personally, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar last week, 2 weeks ago, sorry, when I took the position, in my opinion, every Canadian dollar pair. So, what I mean with every Canadian dollar pair is this. So, every Canadian dollar pair was looking kind of bullish. So, that's the first indication that was quite important to me. So, these pairs look bullish. And next to that, also, I found that there was some fundamental news. We also had the Australian dollar CPY as well, that was also showing a lot of bullish potential for the Australian dollar. So fundamentally, there was a lot of signs that we might have an Australian dollar. But if you didn't know this, there's a little trick that I use. I just scan the market and I'll just look at all the Canadian dollar pairs. So pound cat, dollar cat, euro cat. I'll just look at which pair is doing what. Of course, taking in considerations that we have the euro or the pound or the dollar aligned in those pairs. But noticing these signals in the market that all these cat pairs were looking long is something that is quite interesting, which could be seen as a pattern or something as a confluence, depending on how you trade. But for me, it is a nice confluence to trade, of course, or a trading pattern. If you see that all these pairs are bullish, it's a nice, interesting thing. But of course, we had to make our selection. And for me, also the Australian dollar looked quite bullish. So we have a strong Australian dollar and a weak Canadian dollar, which will result in a very nice bullish move normally. So that's the bias that I had starting fundamentally. Now, technically, as you already can see, let's start at the daily time frame. If you know me already, you know that I don't really use the weekly time frame. We could use the weekly time frame, but I don't like to wait. Let's say we take the weekly candle. Of course, this is the candle where the trade was aligned. But if we would look at the weekly before the position, there's some things that could be interesting. But for me, I don't really tend to look at the weekly because I'm a intra-week trader, as I might say. So I just look at the daily. Can I hold this position for a couple of days or just one day? Sometimes it goes really fast. But if you look at the weekly as well, there are some signs these weekly order block getting swept here, the weekly low getting swept. We are reacting to an imbalance if you're a technical trader. So this nice imbalance over here. So there's some nice signs. We had some change of character over here. We swept this previous weekly low. So there's a lot of signs that we have some upside potential. Then we had the bullish candle followed with the doji. So there might still be a follow-up of the bullish momentum. But of course, I don't really trade the weekly, so let's dive into the daily. But of course, there were some signs as well, which probably made this an even better trade. But for me, I mainly focus on the daily and the 4-hour chart. Moving on to the 4-hour chart. First, let's get a drink. Sorry, guys, I'm not gonna edit this out. Gotta stay healthy, drink a lot of water. So moving on to Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. On the daily chart, quite important. A couple of things that I was noticing. So we were also moving bullish. If you align this with the weekly, it's kind of the same market structure. So if you look at the weekly, look at this market structure. We have this push to the downside, we come back. This could be seen as a supply. We're not reacting very strongly, and we're starting to push to the upside again, swiping this low. If we move to the daily, same story is happening. We are moving not so strongly to the downside, reacting to a supply, starting to move back to the upside. So quite the same market structure if you'd like to go really in depth into this trade. But for me, the most important thing that we were seeing here is that we were rejecting these lows. So here we had the last sweep at the bottom. So that's indicating that we have a clear reversal. If you'd move to the lower time frames, you can see, so we'll move to the 4 hour and explain this a bit more in detail. But we also had a long-term demand over here that's getting respected. I'm just not drawing it very nicely, but this is a nice demand getting respected, and we get a little rejection at the bottom here, slowing down, getting very bullish candles, starting the impulse, getting a change of character, and we are changed to bullish. Now we still have a very strong supply, or something that could be a very strong supply. So if I'm looking for a trade here, I have to have a very clean scenario. So if you know this, how should I call it? There's a way to determining where you draw on liquidity. If you don't know what draw on liquidity is, maybe I'll make some video about it one day. But draw on liquidity, there's a lot of free stuff on YouTube about it. But this daily high over here was draw on liquidity for me because it closed bullish. We still had this wick, something that we could target, that we could take out. So for me, that's a very nice indication. But then again, if we do the same for the bearish candles, we had a bearish candle over here and here, but that's all the way to the downside, and we have one to the upside. So this is the most important one to me. So if I want to take a position to the upside, there's two potential things we can do. So first off, this could be a target. This is drawn liquidity, and this is drawn liquidity. But of course, if we're trading bullish, we of course expect price to move to here. But for me, always a nice confirmation when trading bullish is to take out the bearish sell side liquidity, of course, first before we target the buy side liquidity. So what is happening here? If I want to trade to this side, this is my daily bias, this is my daily target. So let's put a target over here. So this is my daily draw on liquidity. And this at the bottom is my daily draw on liquidity. So of course, if I want to take a position, what I want to do in the 4 hour is wait for this draw on liquidity over here to be taken out, and then we can trade to the upside. So moving on to the 4 hour, this is everything I need to know on the daily. We are moving bullish, we're moving bullish again, and now we could still expect this to be taken out. This was my bias, and this was what I'm looking for. Of course, this is replay, but that was my bias. So if you look at the 4 hour, there's a couple of things that were very interesting to me. First off, we have a very nice bullish market where we have a very nice base here. So we have a rally base rally, which is a very nice way of trading continuation. So we have this nice base that I'm targeting for a trade. So a lot of traders might already trade higher up in the base. So let's say this one. Actually, I took a break even position. Sorry, I took one as well. The week before, I took a position on this order block because we had some nice liquidity building up here, and it was a break even trade for me. So this was the first trade that I took. I don't think, or I'll have to look. I think this was a trade, something like this, and this was what I'm targeting. It's a very aggressive way of trading, but I had a break even position on it because the trade didn't commit and it still moved to the downside. So I was a bit early, but I was still interested. I'm a big fan of, if my take profit is still valid, if I still have some criteria left to take the position, to me, I can still enter the position. So, of course, if I took a loss, that's a different story. But if I just entered too early and I left break even, I can enter again if we still have a lot of confirmation. So, this first one didn't get respected. Of course, we can put the base a bit bigger, and we see that we're getting some kind of slowing down. So depending on what style you trade, you can call this a ranging market. You can call this Wyckoff, where you have all these wicks getting swept at the bottom. So to me, it was looking like Wyckoff. We were slowing down. Still, to me, market structure was bullish because we had this. Let me put this like this. We had this very nice high over here, and well. To be honest, actually, this could be the low, but I know some people will count this as a low or this. But to me, very simple. We were bullish. Look at the line chart. To me, this is a bullish market. And then also a very nice little trick is to see where, of course, you can already tell by the chart. If you have some experience with volume trading, you can know that here is the place. Here, usually when you have this big uptrust, like markets are moving correctively, and they decide not to move to the downside to make a correction, and they actually move to the upside, it means that a lot of volume came into the market. And most of the time where these two closes come together, something like this could be the area where a lot of volume was. And we can actually use this tool here and just take this. Okay, so it's a bit lower, but usually it's somewhere, yeah, around here. It's a little trick I use. It's not a magic indicator. It's one of the indicators that I just don't use, but I can tell by the way a volume just kicked in right there. So right now, moving on to this, also a very nice continuation. Why? First off, we have the rally base rally. Then we have a very slow correction, almost like a bull flag. So that's also quite nice. But I don't trade patterns, of course, because I don't like patterns. If you trade patterns, they can work, but the context is going to be very important. And I know a lot of people who just blindly trade patterns, and yeah, doesn't make sense. So context is going to be important. Now, what is happening over here? We are already starting to move sideways. So it's a nice indication for me that price really wants to move to the upside. But then we still had this low that could be taken out. And to me, I took the first break even position in this move, and some traders actually already traded in here, and that resulted in them taking a break even position. Of course, it's okay. I think some people might see change of character here, and they might take this same pattern, this base over here, and trade it right here. And of course, they had a break even position. Well, of course, if they had done this, something like this, they would have hit take profit, depending on how you manage your positions, of course. But this would have been a very typical smart money concept trade. But for me, I was looking to still get this daily draw on liquidity. And let me go back to the daily. You can see this was the bearish candle, this low that could still be taken out. Moving on to the 4 hour, let's play some price. Okay, so this was happening. You can already tell we get a very nice reaction. And let me just remove the last candle. Let me start off by telling I was very lucky that I was looking at the charts when this was happening. So moving on, let me go to the 1 hour time frame. Let me actually check whether this is was this an Asia low? No, it's not an Asia low. So moving on to the 1 hour, we had this candle exactly when this happened. And usually when we get a rejection and we just very very smallly tap it, we are expecting a very nice move. So this is just experience trading a lot, having a lot of backtest sessions, seeing this happen a lot. When a lot of people see the market dump, they only think about selling, getting out of the position. But for us, when others are fearful, we want to be greedy and we want to enter the markets. Now, in this scenario, the context is perfect. It doesn't mean that every time the market is dumping that you have to buy. If you had done that in crypto, you'd probably lost a lot of money. It doesn't work that way. So the context, of course, has to be important. So sweeping that daily low was quite important to me. Now, for me, I was looking at the lower time frames, and you could already tell, which is very nice. Let's move even lower. That we had a first wick, we had a rejection, so it looks like a real low. If we only get a 1 wick reaction, it still could be taking out. So it's not that much, and it's a very aggressive entry. But if you align everything that I've said, I had a very strong idea. All the Canadian dollar pairs were looking bullish, and I knew that we could still have that small sweep. And I moved to the 5 minute time frame, and I saw this happening, so I saw this small sweep happening here. Of course, I entered here already. If you look at the data of the trade, I was having this nice small accumulation. We changed direction, and this was actually the position that I took. I'm not sure where exactly I took the entry. I think it was, I think I took it like this. Um, I'm not sure. It was a market execution because I was looking at the chart and it was on the 1 minute. So this is the entry that I took, and then I put my stop loss something like this. I think I put it. Might have been 6 or 7 pips, something like this. Let me look at the take profit, and then I can tell you exactly how much it was. Okay, probably it was a bigger stop loss because I took a 7.5 R. Yeah, it was 10 pips, so might have entered a bit lower. Yeah, I know I took 10 pips because I know we can get a strong reaction, but also I'm aware that we could get this, and it was a very aggressive entry as well. Of course, if you enter later, that's a possibility as well. But this was very clear to me that we were going to see a move to the upside. Of course, I was only targeting 1 to 3. So basically, when I took this position, I was only looking at potentially these highs over here, something like this. I think it was a 1 to 3 that we had on some of these highs. But then I saw the price action after my trade, and I decided to hold the trade because I know from experience if price has a strong reaction, we might not see a very nice correction to enter again, and we might still get to take profit. I'm getting some alerts over here on one of my cryptos, so let's look at that later, or let me just no, let's look at it later. Let me just quickly check on my phone because that's actually an interesting one. That's one of the AI plays that I'm. Holy shit, that's very interesting. That could be the next video on this channel. But wow, okay, that's a very nice play. We could look at it after it, but it just rose 30%. Okay, uh, maybe that's actually the next video. But okay, so moving on. If we were on the 1 minute time frame, we can see what price did. Price tapped us in and actually never went in drawdown. It's crazy how well this played out. And of course, I know it's a bit aggressive, but you could have entered again over here, getting break of structures in the market. You could have entered a couple of times, but for me, usually if I enter again or if I take a scale in, I'd like to enter on a bigger time frame. So for me, this was happening. It didn't. Ah, I didn't know when it was going to happen. It didn't look that promising, to be honest. I had to be very patient. So looking at this price action, I was like, okay, moving my trade to break even. I didn't do it yet because I still could get a nice bullish reaction, so I didn't move it to break even yet. And after this candle, I moved it to break even. And after this movement, you're pretty sure, or it's a pretty confirming move that your trade is going to play out. Look at this very nice bullish candle. That for me itself is just when I see this kind of price action, I know I can take scale ins. We have a very nice bullish reaction. My bias is correct. And at this point, you could take scale ins. I know some people who took some scale ins. Let me check if there were scale in opportunities. So you have some liquidity being swept over here. Same scenario actually happening. So maybe you could have taken some scale ins. I'd prefer price to go lower. Yeah. And then here in this area, let's say you take the bearish candle and you'd enter here. This could be an opportunity for you or on lower time frames. I'm not sure. I haven't checked this one. So this could be, if it's a 1 to 3, yeah, it doesn't give an opportunity. I think some people even entered over here. But in this case, there's not a lot of opportunities coming in. Moving on to the 1 hour, this was actually a very easy trade because I saw the price action moving up. I think this was during the nighttime, so I saw price moving up, and it was getting very close to my take profit. Then I had this candle, and to me, this was quite easy that I just had to keep it running. A very nice bullish candle again. Then we just know very close to my take profit. Then I just know that we're going to hit that daily drawn liquidity. So we hit it and we even went above it. But for me, I wasn't going to be greedy. I already had a 7.5R on the account with double the risk. So my account was -6 because I took 3 losses. So I got to be very transparent on that one as well. And then I just took this trade, a banger, 7.5. Very, very fast trade. So it was easy to stay patient, and it hit the daily target. But moving on, if I kept the position, I don't like to keep positions that long. I'm an intra-week trader. We can see that we could still be in profit or kept it to some higher targets. It can even go higher, and that's what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. We could still move further. So let's click off the replay. You can just rinse and repeat this. Basically, this was the first position. Okay, we had this sweep. Uh, we had this very nice daily drawn liquidity that we had swept at the bottom over there. And now we have the same kind of, it's a very small base, yeah, but the same could happen here. We have this nice region over here. And what is happening? It's basically the same price action. It is the same price action. Look at this. Same break. Did it happen here before? No. Same break. Of course, we cannot keep making continuations. That's why it has to be in the right context. But we still, of course, we tapped some supply again. Same story. We had supply, we had a reaction. We had supply, we had a reaction. What is happening? Of course, I can tell you. We can move through all these cat pairs to look at pound Canadian dollar looking bullish. Look at euro Canadian dollar looking bullish. Look at New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar looking bullish, actually kind of sweeping something. So also looking bullish, but not yet. It's very it went very bearish, very impulsively on Friday, so not that one, but still might have some bullish scenarios. Outcat looking bullish, and then we would like to see some bearish price action on these ones. Looking kind of bearish, but it's looking, or it's giving me indications that we might be bullish. So if you look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar again, same thing is happening, but you can see this bearish candle over here. You had the same bearish candle over here. What would you wait for? You could make the same play this week. If you're watching this video, you could look at this low, getting swept, and look at what price action is telling you. Same trade, same bias. So, same trade. It's a bit different. Some people would say we have a change of character, we are bearish. But if you zoom out, are we actually bearish? I mean, some people are just like, oh, but there's a change of character, we are bearish. To me, we are still moving bullish. And this is a bullish area, and we could take this low out. And once we take this low out, we could again look to target this high. If you don't like Australian dollar cat, for me, it could be a potential trade. So let's make it a bit bigger. We could look for some setups over here. But to me, the pound Canadian dollar is actually doing the same as the trade that we took. It's slowing down, kind of making these Wyckoff patterns. We still had this bearish low that could be taking out, and then we could still move to the upside. Now, do mind that we have a daily imbalance over here, so that's kind of important. It's not the exact same setup, but it looks kind of the same as the setup. So the Canadian dollar pairs are looking bullish again, so we can have these bullish setups again. So it's a very in-depth trade trade explanation about the one I took. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So let's quickly move to the crypto that's pumping. Holy, I didn't stage this at all, so that's quite nice. Gotta take my risk off at this position, but that's very nice project. Clore AI, of course, if you're in crypto, you know that the AI cryptos are doing quite well. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the technical video. If you want to see more technical videos on this channel, please let me know. Also, if you have other videos ID, please let me know. And then I hope you have a great trading week. Stay safe. Also, do your research when you are trading or investing. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. And I hope you like, subscribe, and give me some feedback on the videos or content that you want to see. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a great trading week. Bye-bye.